Hey guys, it's Sebastian from AskSebby, and today we are going to talk about whether American Express is more of an end game setup than a mid game or early game one. A lot of this is based off the meta game, so the rules of all the different issuers and how you can optimally play the game given all of these rules to maximize your outcome. Before I dive into all of this and why I think that this is the case, if you are someone that likes videos like this, very easy way to support our channel is to give this a thumbs up. For people who are new to the channel, this might be a bit confusing. There's going to be a lot of terminology and different systems that you're probably not going to understand. But for people who've been around, for people who understand the game, this starts to make a lot more sense. So the reason why American Express is not good as an early game setup is because there are other systems that force you to get their cards first if you want to maximize their value. So if you want to squeeze the most juice out of that orange, you need to get other ones first, such as Chase. This is partially a construct of Chase and their intention that they want you to get their cards first, but even on your end, even if you don't care what Chase cares about, for you, it's still the optimal move, because if other issuers change their rules or remove benefits, by having these Chase cards, it's insurance so you can upgrade to the other cards like we're seeing with Citi. If you're someone that skips Chase cards, then if American Express decides to do something that you don't like, you're not really in a position to leave American Express because you can't go back to Chase. Citi right now isn't competitive, so you end up being stuck. One other thing to factor into is the opportunity cost. So if you have one slot left for Chase and you decide to add any other card, the opportunity cost of getting that card is missing out on the Chase bonus. And for a lot of people, at a minimum, that could easily be $500 in value, whether you're doing cash, so something like the Chase Sapphire Preferred, if you're cashing out the points, or for travel, the Hyatt card is easily more than 500. For most people, if you are using Hyatt points as they are optimally going to be used, you're probably getting about $1,000 in value at 2 cents per points. So early game doesn't really make sense based off the constructs, based off the metagame. If you didn't like the video, feel free to like the video. Mid game is where it gets a bit interesting because I think it does make an interesting mid game choice, but the constructs of American Express make it not a good mid-game pick. So that's very hard to decipher because I'm still kind of thinking about this as I go along. This isn't really scripted. The main problem of choosing American Express as a mid-game one is if you are someone that does not keep using American Express cards, if you sock draw their cards and you cycle through other issuers, then oftentimes you're going to get a pop-up window saying that you're not eligible for the bonus. We've seen this a few times, and it's oftentimes either if you have abused American Express in the past, if you've done something wrong, so maybe you shut down a card right after getting the bonus, or alternatively, if you have their cards and you're not using them. This also kind of ties into the early game aspect, just because if you're a student and you sock draw one of their cards, you're in a bad spot and you're not going to be able to get their bonuses. But as a student, I wasn't spending that much. So it's this weird thing where the idea is you have to spend about $500 in order to be eligible for bonuses based off last month's spend. This isn't a set number. This is just what's floating around on the internet based off random people's data points trying to figure out what the number is. Given this pop-up, it doesn't really make sense to get it in an early game unless you're a big spender, unless you consistently keep using their cards. Mid-game, you run into the same problem. Unless you keep using their cards, it doesn't really make sense. And for a lot of people, mid-game, you're better off picking up some Citi cards, some Bank of America cards, some Barclays, US Bank, Capital One. There's just a lot of other issuers that you can at least dabble in first to get bonuses. And for most people, bonuses end up being about a few $100s. For travel, you're probably looking at $500 plus. For cashback, you're looking at $150 to $200 per bonus. Outside of the bonus aspect, I think for a lot of people, you still want to build up a base in case American Express shuts you down. So if you end up dealing with a shutdown, you don't want to only have American Express cards. You might want to have one card from maybe 2 or 3 different issuers. That way it's a bit of insurance. Another way to think of it is if you have a bank account and if you have everything in there, that's fine. But if they shut you down, you're going to be at a problem point where you have to move your money and stuff is frozen. I've had a lot of people who've had to deal with that, especially for places like PayPal or Wells Fargo. By having that secondary account, you're not going to be frozen out of your money. You just have a bit more flexibility. The reason I think it makes a lot of sense in the end game is because at that point, you're probably going to be, I was going to say that you're going to be a bigger spender, but that might not be the case. The main takeaway, I think, is that your spending habits are likely going to change. If you're someone who is very frugal, like I was as a student, you're probably going to increase your spending a bit, maybe not a lot. Higher income likely means some higher spending at least, so it's easier for you to justify. And the fact that you already have the other bonuses, other relationships with other banks, you're less likely to not keep putting your spend on American Express because you're less worried about welcome bonuses and just other cards. For me, that's one thing that I've really noticed is that right now I tend to use American Express for a lot of my other random purchases just because of their insurance. The other thing too with American Express is that you have these upgrade offers as well as retention offers. So if you spend money with American Express, you tend to get higher retention offers, or you just have a higher likelihood of getting these offers. A few takeaways is that I don't really have anything against American Express. I have a lot of American Express cards. So I like their cards, I like their system, I like their insurance, I like their benefits, but it's just how do you optimize and maximize what you're getting? Given the landscape of cards, I just think it's optimal to go towards them in the end game, maybe in the mid game if you don't care about the other issuers, which is what I did, but now I'm kind of locked out of Capital One, Barclays, and some other places since I have too many accounts. With American Express, they don't really care how many accounts you have. As long as you have a relationship with them, as long as they see you paying off your cards, they tend to approve you for whatever you want. On that note, if you are someone who wants to learn more about American Express cards and you want to support our channel, a very easy way to do that would be to use the links that are on our website or the links that are down below in the description box. I realize making a video like this might mean that less people who are in the early game are going to want to learn about American Express cards, but I think it's something worth knowing for you guys. Hopefully that was helpful, and let me know if you guys have any questions. My question for you guys is, what are your thoughts on this? Do you agree, disagree? Let me and the community know down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps us out. If you know anyone else who could benefit from what we just talked about, feel free to share the video with them. It'll probably help them out. But otherwise, hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time.